Netcasts you love from people you trust. This is Twit.
Next, let's learn about timing and Minecraft's internal time unit, the tick, and how it is important when it comes to your redstone machines. The way it works is Minecraft will update the blocks around you that are loaded in the chunk that you're in every once in a while. Every time that the game updates the blocks, that is called a tick. This tick happens around 20 times a second. That's why in a normal game, you may hear that you're running at 20 TPS, ticks per second. You also may know that on your multiplayer servers, you may hear people ask, man, how many ticks is this server running at? How many TPS are we running? Because you know that if you're running somewhere around 20, that is the sign of a healthy server. And if you're running lower in the 10s or 15s, you may be running on a laggy server that's chugging along there. So each one of these ticks is useful to us in-game because we can use that to make sure that things work correctly in our Minecraft creations. We can make sure that a piston pulls back with enough time for it to be fully retracted before it moves out of the way, and so on. So let's get into it. So I have created a few little demonstration areas to show off the timing in game because it can be a little bit hard to see it happen because it is a little bit fast. In this first scenario, I have a line of redstone that is completely unfettered with. This is pretty much a direct line up to the redstone lamps here. On the other side, I have used the inverting behavior that happens when you power a block with a redstone torch on it. And I've done that a few times to show off the lag that this creates. And it's good to point out that this is an actual lag. It's not detrimental. This is a behavior that we will expect. So let's go ahead. I have a button down here to start off the reaction, and you can see that down there, that redstone lamp powers before the one on the left. The right side is powered before the one on the left. And the reason that this happens is because it takes a tick for the redstone lamp to switch states, to turn from an on state to an off state. So we have 4 of those down the line, so that means 4 ticks, so about 1/5 of a second delay. And when we test it out, that is what we get. Very scientific, is about a 1/5 delay. Now, let me show off a little bit of a different scenario. It's easier to see because you can't actually see the torches changing states because the block is in the way here. But with this, I'm going to use repeaters. Repeaters also have a 1-tick delay. Oops, I had this set up from practice. So let me get them all. Now they are both in the same state. So they both have a 1-tick delay per repeater, and you can see it running down the line. There's no way to get a repeater without a delay. You're always going to have a 1-tick delay per repeater. But we can show off the differences in time. So let's just go ahead and set all of these at an extra tick. What I'm doing is the repeater has a function that you can set different delay times by right-clicking on the back of the repeater. If it's all the way up at the front, it is the normal repeater delay, which is 1. When you click it again, you get 2 ticks, 3 ticks, and 4-tick delay. So we're going to keep it at 2. All of these are at 2 ticks, and you can see the difference as it goes down the line. It's about twice as slow. And we can do it even more and put it at its full delay on all of these. And you may be asking, why would I want to delay my redstone contraption? Well, like I said before, if you're trying to create a machine that needs one component to move out of the way before the other component finishes doing its thing, this is why having a delay would be useful. Or maybe you're trying to race the redstone. So here, let's try that. Let me sprint and hit the button. Anyway, so you can see how this might be useful to you. And that is a really large function of the redstone repeater, so keep it in mind when you're building your things that redstone repeaters can have a multiple delay setting. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the repeater. The repeater has a few more behaviors that make it important. First off is the function of it being a diode. So we have two repeater setups here. One of these setups work, and the redstone line goes down just perfect. The other one doesn't. And every time I hit this button, it kind of stops at this repeater, and it just doesn't go any further. The reason is because repeaters act as a diode in that they can only take an input from one direction and they will only output in the opposite direction. So here, if you look at this redstone repeater, you may see a little bit of a triangle or arrow etched into the top of it. And that is by design. This repeater will only fire this way. So here I have put repeaters in the wrong direction, and that means that no redstone signal can go through it. This is also useful because redstone can't come at the side of the repeater. It won't fire if it's right next to it, and it won't break up that line. So you can create contraptions that use this to your advantage. So this is a pretty compact scenario for being able to have three buttons that are associated with three blocks right next to it. And so if I hit this button, the block on the far side will start. And this sort of compact scenario really couldn't be achieved any other way because the repeaters here make sure that the redstone lines don't get all tangled up together. Because just to show it off, if you don't understand what I'm saying, is if you created a arch just like this, and then you thought, well, I'm going to create an inner arch. Well, all of a sudden, your redstone gets all tangled together. So the use of these repeaters is very useful. And it also shows off the delays that can be associated with redstone based off of just this short trip around the outer edge versus the inner edge, which almost feels instantaneous. That outer edge seems to take forever. So that is the behavior of repeaters. Now let's move on to some behaviors of redstone that may be a little bit confusing at first. You may see this and think, how the heck is this redstone being powered? Does he have something underneath? No, he doesn't. Well, the reason that this is happening is that this is a torch, which is a full source block in this area. So this full source block, kind of like how this redstone being laid on the top of these blocks is taking up a full block area, same thing with this torch, and so it is powering this block next to it. Same thing over here. This is even a further distance that it seems that the redstone is traveling, but remember that this is a source block, and this redstone is taking up this full block, and so that is why this works. And then also, it can power a redstone on top of these blocks because this is powering this block, and the residual energy is flowing into this line. That is why it's powered. Now, especially with this bottom scenario, this can be used to your advantage in a lot of ways. And just to show it off, here is a pressure plate with redstone underneath, and it will activate whenever you step on it. And so you can imagine that this is quite useful because you could have a completely hidden redstone line. If this was, say a full floor, or maybe this was all dirt so you couldn't see, that could be very, very useful to you that that behavior exhibits over here. Next, some other behaviors of redstone is that it can go up a block, so you don't have to keep everything just solid on the ground. It will move up a block and it will move down a block, but that is the limit of redstone. It will not move up a 2-block distance. If an easy way to think about it is if you can jump the distance with your player, so I can jump a 1-block distance, but I cannot jump a 2-block distance. It's just impossible. Well, then redstone can do the same. So keep that in mind. You're just not able to run redstone right up the side here. Everyone wishes that they could just place redstone just right there and have a line, just like a wire. Now, Another behavior is that redstone will not move diagonally through blocks. So you may think, oh, but look, it's so thin. I can just look at the thinness right there. I'm sure that the redstone will just move right between. No, it actually cuts it off, and you can't get a redstone current through a diagonal block like this. That is with a solid block. Now, there are ways to get around this using a few other blocks. Glass will actually allow the redstone to pass through, so you can have a connected redstone current. And the other thing that will allow this is a half slab. And this sort of just logically makes sense because it's a half slab, and so you could see the space. And so you may want to keep that in mind. Now, something that I don't have in this course, but I do want to point out, is that there is a way to vertically transfer redstone very, very easily. You can place redstone on the top of glowstone just like this. It's good to point out that you cannot put any redstone at all onto glass. No torches, repeaters, anything. Nothing will ever be able to be placed on glass. But you can place it on top of redstone, and glowstone. And glowstone exhibits the behavior of glass in that it will create a link between the two redstone pieces or wire on the ground. So if I power this, it will power that as well. Now this looks very interesting, and you can continue this setup by taking your redstone and raising it up. This isn't a glitch. This is expected to happen. This is an expected behavior of redstone, but you can only go up a redstone line and not down it. So there are some behaviors of redstone. Okay, so far, I hope you think you have gotten it down, because we have been talking about sort of digital redstone. It only has an on-off state. Next, we are going to be shifting into the world of analog redstone. Crazy, I know.